What's up, YouTube? It's your main man, AB the Hero, back again with another video, and we're going to talk about the college football season, college sports in general, but specifically the college football season, all the cancellations and postponements that have happened. And we're going to talk about the schools who decided not to. Let's. All right, so as you all know, I'm sure, unless you've been literally living under a rock, which is probably the safest place to be living, we have been dealing with COVID 19, the coronavirus, and that has shaped the way that we live our lives in a much different way than we have expected it to be happening at this moment. Everybody's wearing masks, working from home, stay at home orders, quarantines, all of these different things. And as you all know, the NBA has they canceled the season or postponed the season, did not cancel it. Started it back up in the bubble. Baseball is doing some weird stuff where they playing baseball games in front of nobody. The corona cases, it's just a lot of stuff happening right now around in the landscape of sports. So when this whole thing first started, a lot of folks were hoping that this thing would be over by the end of the spring, maybe into the beginning of the summer. Fall sports come around, we still gonna have our football. It's not looking like that's gonna happen. Football is one of those sports where it's a lot of people regardless. Like basketball, you got five folks on the court for each team. You got 10 people. And a lot of the social distancing guidelines that they have, they were saying don't have functions with more than 10 people. So even on the court there, you just got the 10 people. So at least you there. Football, you got 11 on this side, 11 on this side. 53 people standing over here, 53 standing over here, water, and just a whole army of folks. So it just makes it a lot crazier. Then you have these big arenas and stadiums that are seating 80,000, 100,000 people. Just a lot of different elements that go into football that make it much harder to do a bubble situation like we've seen with the NBA. Like pretty much what the NBA is doing with the bubble is damn near the equivalent of just two football teams being in the same place and playing each other over and over, right? The amount of players that you have in that whole entire system is damn near like two, maybe four football teams. And so you can do that in a more sustainable way with basketball, but you can't do it with football. And as you all know, if you've been around this channel for a while, my gift is I played football way back in the day in college football, so I can talk about it from that perspective. But I am torn, I will say, about whether or not college football should happen this fall with COVID and all of the things that are going on. I seen a post recently. It was from the and his name slips me at the moment, but the quarterback from uh, Auburn, long haired dude, and he was talking about how he wants to play no matter what, and also he's thinking about his teammates who are just going to go back home. And the truth of the matter is that the dangers of being at home is actually probably even more dangerous living in your natural home environment and trying to deal with COVID and navigate that than it would be if you were in the isolated environment of college sports, being with your team, the trainers, the doctors, and all of those things. Like you might actually be safer playing college football with folks who then going to have tests readily available for you. The treatment is going to be there. And to me, he made a great point. Obviously, in this post that I was looking at, I looked down in the comments and folks were like, ah, hell nah. And I think they missed the point because they were thinking that he was saying that his perspective was based on one who was about to make it to the NFL regardless, right? So he wants to play to continue to raise his draft stock. And the truth of the matter is, he's one of those players where is elite enough in which it does not matter for him. He could sit out the season. He's still going to be a first round draft pick if they end up having a draft next year. Anyway, there is where this season matters a lot more for guys who are on the fringe or guys who are not on the radar, who are trying to raise their stock and get their game in front of some folks so that they can hopefully make an NFL team or play professional football next year. You see what's going on with the XFL. The Rock is supposedly bringing it back, which would be pretty dope. But obviously there's CFL and all these other things that they're trying to do. So I do see what he's saying, right? Because um, if you look at what's been happening in these local communities, especially in a lot of these urban and big cities, the COVID cases are going up. There's a there's not a consistent amount of seriousness that has been had when it comes to COVID in all of these communities around the country. So what you do see with the NBA bubble is that tight knit thing where they locking folks down. You can only go certain places. We're gonna bring food to you. We're gonna do all of this stuff and make sure you all are able to um, stay safe and play the game that you love and what gets you paid. Now, I do believe that that is the biggest difference between college football or college sports and then what's happening with the NBA, the MLB, and the NFL. It's the check. So there's a different amount of risk that someone would probably be willing to take when I know that you're going to pay me $1 million. I'm gonna come to the bubble. I'm gonna chill there for 3 months away from my family. I'm going to take all of the proper precautions because I know that these millions of dollars are riding on that. College athletes don't have the same um, uh, incentive there, right? The ideal and the big um, for most folks who don't believe that college athletes should be paid, the thing that they say is the deciding factor is the scholarship, the education that you get. And you can get that same education like all of the other students who go to that school who are doing it remotely, right? Who are probably on scholarship for all these different other things, who can't come back to campus, but they will be taking their classes online. So if you're somebody who believes that these college athletes, man, what they're getting the most out of this experience is an education, and you should also be someone who believes that it makes no sense for them to come back to campus, because the reality is that they can get that same education online like every other student. Now, to me, as a former college football player, I understand that it would totally suck to just not be able to play. So while there's some safety concerns, man, there's a love that these kids have for the game and just athletes in general. I'm sure you have them as well if you play sports, or the love of just even being able to watch sports for a lot of folks is just as great as the love that these folks have for playing sports. So I could see why, just even if there was no money tied to it, if it's a free thing, like you just want to do it. I found myself today online looking up flag leagues just locally that I was thinking about playing in, and I would have to pay to play in those leagues. So I can imagine what these college football players and the confliction that they feel. One of the other reports that I seen come out though is and there's the reason why I believe that the Big Ten and the Pac-12 ultimately decided to cancel their league is because there's some underlying heart issues that may be tied to COVID that folks do not have a lot of information on. And that is also one of the huge reasons why I believe that the ACC, the Big 12, and the SEC has not canceled their stuff, is because there are a lot of reasons and information and things that folks do not have information on. So the ideal of like, we don't know if things will be better in the spring. We don't know if things will be better in 2021. We don't know if things are better now, right? So we see these cases spike and all these things are happening. Every day things are changing with COVID. So I could see how they would just be like, man, let's just take what we can get. We don't know what's happening here. Shit could be all bad or it could be all good, but at least we could try to do something. And for me, I'm torn because I would love to see him try, man. I am somebody who I like my college football. I like Florida State. I'm an Iowa State guy, so I like Iowa State. And the crazy thing is that I love college football and I love the passion behind it, but I don't even really watch it like that. So I really wouldn't miss much of it as far as the season goes. But I think it would be definitely interesting this year to watch and see how they do it, because it would be a college football game literally with nobody in the stadium, right? So you imagine a big house up in Michigan with, well, honestly, right now the Big Ten is closed, so you take the swamp down in Florida and the SEC and have it just completely empty. Um, would be crazy. I will say though, the incentive is that because you do not have fans in the arena, the money for TV would have to be astronomical as well, because now you have an extra 85,000 people who would be in the arena who is now going to be watching that game online. So it even speaks more to the exploitation of these players, because the money is going to be stupid, because all the advertisers know, like, your entire fan base is going to be watching these games, and everybody is so thirsty for sports, that shit, even if it's not your fan base, they're gonna be tuned in as well, because they can't go to their team and watch them. So um, the upcoming months of sports in general will be very interesting. I'll be tuned in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment down below. Let me know what your favorite college football team is, if they're already canceled, if you want them to cancel, and what your thoughts is on this. Shimei Man, AB the Hero. I'm out. Peace.